Good afternoon, everyone, and welcome to another episode of Campus Care Ed Talks. Ed Talks is a platform where educators and leaders come on board and express their viewpoints related to education and society. A topic for the day is student suspension or expulsion, and does it help? And to express her viewpoints on the same, we have with us Mrs. Tanusree Roy, ma'am, Headmistress of Stepping Stone School, West Bengal. A very welcome, ma'am.
Uh, Thank you so much, ma'am. It is my pleasure. And it is indeed an honor to be invited on board as guest speaker. Thank you.
Thank you so much, ma'am. It's so good to have you here. So, ma'am,
It's
let's
my honor.
start off with the session now, shall we?
Okay, fine,
So,
ma'am.
ma'am, firstly, what do you think are the effective ways of maintaining the decorum at school, ma'am?
Uh, See, there are two terms which sometimes seem juxtaposed on one another, yet there are certain differences. Like one is decorum and the other is discipline. Right. So when we are speaking of decorum, we are mainly referring to the social behavior, the etiquette that is to be followed. Okay, and and to have it effectively carried out in the school, there should be a consistent behavior policy for the students as well as for the teachers. Okay, so and it has to be enforced and complied by. So when we are enforcing this behavior policy, the students should be aware of the school policies and they should remain committed to the rules. Not only the students, the teachers, the school management, that is the school authorities, they should also be working along with it. There should be separate guidelines for the teachers, separate guidelines for the students, and there should be a good follow up. And once the same guidelines and the principles are followed by all the people concerned in the well being of the school, without any deviation and relaxation, maintaining a consistency in the follow up, I think it will be uh, running efficiently. The school will be running efficiently. And to help in this working, uh, the teachers have to be trained, and they should be trained in such a manner that they are able not only to disseminate knowledge, but they should bring about a holistic learning of the students, helping them to cater to the social norms. Yes, it is not only about academics when we are preparing school children, it is also about preparing them to face the world. All right. So that way, the teachers also do need some training where they become facilitators and mentors, and not only knowledge disseminators, right? And to further enhance, to supplement this, we can have the professionals coming in. You know, professionals in the form of, say, guidance counselor, career guidance people. So they can also come in, and so all if everyone is on the same platform, we can have greater effectivity. Now, regarding the approach that we should be maintaining, the approach should be a child on the child. Yes, and the problem should come, uh, like the center of the problem should be the child. Like we have to have the child before the self. Yes, it so happened once that chalk landed on a teacher's back. Right, so the teacher was writing on the board. The teacher suddenly turned around and found that it was a student who had thrown the chalk. So the teacher got very angry. So the teacher started reprimanding the student. Later on, it was found out that the student had not aimed the chalk at the teacher. The student had aimed the chalk at one of the front benchers with whom he was having a squabble. right? And it accidentally landed on the teacher. Like, that is also not a good act when the teacher is there in the classroom, but the teacher took it upon himself that he was being disrespected, and matters went out of hand. Yes, so it was like it could be reprimanded and things could rest. Like, we should be very careful about what is a minor incident and what is a major incident, and we should be dealing with it accordingly in the classroom. Yes, so if it is a minor incident, we should let it pass. And if it is a major incident, of course, we should follow the book. All right. And when we are dealing with, so the teacher was had roughly handled the student. Yes, had reprimanded, had carried the student down to the office. Yes, to speak with the head of the school. So this was not wanted. Rather, if the teacher had shown some feeling of compassion, yes, and when dealing with the students, it should be very, very clear that the teacher should not in any way show any kind of an anger or frustration. Neither in one's gestures or in one's expressions. Because what happens then, immediately there is a barrier created between the student and the teacher, and the student stops from communication. Yes, so it is very necessary that the teacher remains calm while handling these instances, and because a frustrated teacher is not the best person to deal with such kind of aggressions or shift from normal discipline. And we should always give the child the benefit of doubt. Like, the child was trying to say that, sir, you were not my aim, but rather it was my friend. So the teacher did not give it a hearing. Yes, so it is very necessary that one listens to what the child has to say. Many a times, out of fear, they don't come up with the true facts, with the truth. Yes, they do not come up with the facts.
Yes,
So
ma'am.
they tend to distort the facts. But we should be giving them the benefit of doubt. And the teacher should not only be speaking to one child, rather, the teacher should also be calling up other children who were sitting next to him and speak to them individually. Yes. And another thing that has to be kept in mind, that, like, nothing can be achieved like a quick fix. Yes, discipline to have everyone follow a certain decorum in the school, like, and a deviation from the decorum, it is not like the click of the fingers. You have to be patient with this child. You have to empathize with the situation, and any other underlying cause. It also might happen that the child is hungry. Yes, if the child is hungry, if the child did not have the breakfast and come to school, the child would remain agitated throughout the class. Yes, so it is very necessary to find out the reason behind this kind of disturbance, this kind of an agitation. Take the child into one's confidence, yes, and then speak to the child. And there are many children who are they are not very good academically. They're not very good academically. So in that case, we have to give them some activity, where they can realize that they are good in that. Apart from academics, everyone is not coming to school to study.
Yeah.
They are prepared to come to school. They are dressed up to school and they are sent to school. They don't come on their own will. So, like, most of them come to be with their friends. Yes, so we have to find out, we have to give them certain activities and find out where their interest lies, and that way, they will get some kind of a confidence. Yes, they will have a belief in their self-worth. And the teacher must stop from using derogatory remarks like, say, nitwit, worthless. These put off the child immediately. Immediately, the child loses any kind of a will to overcome this barrier between a so-called good academically oriented child and himself or herself. Yes, so it is very necessary that the teacher comes across to the student as a friendly person, to whom the student can confide with uninhibitedly. Yes, and an environment of learning should be created. Yes, it is very necessary. Like, I'll tell you another thing. I have seen that students are very close to their games teacher, to their drawing teacher, to their librarian. And you know why? Because there they are not asked questions, textual questions. Yes, they are not asked textual questions, and they remove quite detached from the mathematics teacher, because it all seems abstract to them. So it is also very necessary to associate learning with real life situation, so where the child feels included in the class. And I think that way it will help a lot in maintaining effective decorum. I hope I have been able to address the point, ma'am, you have
Yes,
brought
ma'am.
across. Okay,
Thank you
okay.
so much, Tanusree, ma'am. Moving forward, ma'am, do you agree with the suspension or expulsion policy? And do you think maybe students should get counseling or warnings before getting this kind of punishments?
See, to run an institution, to run a school, there should be policies of suspension, there should be policies of termination. Yes, but again, these are extreme measures, right? So before going across to these decisions, one should have a conversation with the defaulter. First hand conversation with the defaulter is very, very necessary. Earlier, like when there is it is a first time defaulter, then warnings are given, right? And now, but it is considered that warnings, like, it should not come as a warning, rather, because warning is seen as a consequence of the action. Yes, and unless the student is accepting where he or she has gone wrong, that warning has no meaning.
Yes, ma'am.
Yes, so maybe you will be able to stop the child temporarily. Maybe, say, when the child is in class 5, you give a warning that this must not be done. Maybe the child had taken a neighboring student's pencil box and had gone home. Yes, so the next day the child is reprimanded for it. The child is given a warning that next time this happens, you will be detained back. This should not happen, because the child is not understanding where the child has gone wrong. Maybe the child is a kleptomaniac. Yes, it is a habitual error that the child makes. It is not that the child wanted to harm the other one. Yes, so this must be understood. And unless the child understands that, there is every chance the child will be repeating it, maybe in a higher class. And when it goes to a higher class, it will come in another bigger form, right? So they are not aware as to how they are not able to learn how to behave better. Yes, they are not able to go through the entire workout and find out where things will be working better. And that is where, uh, counseling comes in. So better off than warning, I think counseling is the best option, rather.
Yes.
And so in a counselor, the counselor can guide the student, um, to stop the student from taking impulsive actions. Yes, and to tolerate frustrations. Yes, it requires a lot of patience, though, but this should be done. And so that the child is not impulsive, that the child can overcome frustrations. There should be a delay in gratification. See, suppose the child says, ma'am, today we want to go and play basketball. Yes, so the students, in the free period, so the teacher might say, no, today let me take a class, and then maybe 2 weeks later when I'm better off with the syllabus. So, like this kind of delayed gratification, the child learns to restrain himself or herself. Yes. And the counselor can also help the child in recognizing the mistakes, to reflect on what is unacceptable, and to find out ways of avoiding them also. Yes. So, and it should be very necessary as to come across and make the child understand what the school is expects of the child. Yes. And uh, there a little bit of hand holding,
Yeah.
I think, will be taking the student a great deal forward. That is very necessary. Like this, the student should know that I am wanted here, that there is someone I can rely on, that I can pour my heart out to, that I have a listener. And I think that way, if the child feels wanted, the child feels has a feeling of self-worth, has a good self-esteem, such deviations of behavior uh, can be reduced. I will not say we will be able to stop them, but maybe we can reduce them. Yes.
Thank you so much, Tanusree ma'am. That was a really brief explained by you. So, lastly, ma'am, other than suspension or expulsion, do you think detention is it the right step to deal with the students breaking the laws and the rules?
Could you come across the question once again, ma'am?
So, ma'am, other than suspension or expulsion, do you think detention is the right way so you can deal with the students who are breaking the rules, ma'am?
As I said, ma'am, suspension and expulsion is not the correct choice. Like they should only come in when we have no other option, where the child has become very pervasive, or the child is breaking the rules to such an extent that it is disrupting the normal running of the school. So, as against that, detention was followed. Yes, detention was a common method of punishment in schools, but recent research has shown that it is ineffective. Yes, because there are two flip sides to it. What are they? Like, say, in detention, what do? We tell a child that you'll have to stay over school hours and you'll have to complete this task, or you will be missing your games period and you'll have to stay back. So, what happens is, there we have to appoint a teacher to supervise that child, the detainee, right? And if the teacher who is supervising the detainee is one who the student likes, then the purpose of the detention is not served, because the child is wanting that teacher to be close to him or her, right? So that is one point. And another point is that, um, if the child is in the supervision of a teacher who he or she dislikes, yes, so instead of changing the behavior, it will cause certain kind of resentment, and it will damage the teacher student relationship also. And not only in case of detentions, not only is the student facing this block, but it is the teacher also who is having to give certain extra time. Yes, maybe the teacher would have done with some reading in the library or correction work, but the teacher has to sit along with the child. So the teacher is also getting punished in that way. Yes, and detention, it does not bring about any growth, nor is there any new understanding. Why is the child like? The child has to know why that punishment is being given to the child. Yes, and the harm cannot be repaired. Yes, so we have to bring about a reality check, that why is that punishment being handed out. Yes, the child must be knowing that what is the school trying to say, what change is the school trying to bring about by giving that kind of a task. Yes, and most importantly, whether it does make any difference in the child, whether the child will be improving. Many a times, it so happens the child becomes very adamant, the child repeats the mistake again and again. So there should be a reflective process where the root cause of the behavior, of that conflict, should be identified. And the child must be asked, like, if you were in your friend's shoes, what would you have done? Like, the child must be asked to assess the situation from another person's viewpoint, from another person's perspective. Yes, and that way, I think if the child understands that, say, suppose I had two students who had come downstairs, and one was saying, "Ma'am, she is calling my mother by names." Yes, so I said, I didn't. Firstly, I did not understand what she was wanting to come across with, and then I got to know that the name was a little like it was not a normal kind of a name. It was the name of a flower. Yes. So this other guy was making fun of the girl's mother. And then I asked this boy, suppose your mother was by this name and someone was doing the same thing that you also are doing to this girl. Yes, how will you feel? Would you like this to continue every day at school in the classroom? So then the boy remains quiet, and then the boy says that I'm truly sorry for what I have done. I should not have done that, and I will not be repeating it. Like, hopefully, the child will not be repeating it. It is not that the child will not repeating it, but at least before again saying such words, maybe the child will be thinking twice. Yes, so that gives some time, to go back, to reflect, and then again come up. So it's very necessary that a healthy teacher student relationship be built up. Yes, especially in the COVID times, what has happened? These children have stayed at home. Yes, they were either they were single child or there was one or two more siblings. There was not enough time to interact with one another, and it is very necessary that students mix with people of the same age group, people with the same kind of a development. Yes, so they will be learning to empathize, they will learn to share, they will learn to cooperate. So these are very, very necessary, and it will take time for us uh, to overcome the damage that has occurred in these 2 years. But we are hopeful, yes, because if we are taking up a task, I think we should be doing it willfully, we should be doing it thoughtfully, and we should be having patience, creativity, and plan out well. Because as I said, there is no quick fix solution to disruptions in class. So we have to raise children and educate them as responsible beings, and where they will be able to reflect on their feelings, their actions, and they will be able to take up correct choices. Yes, so we are hopeful, and let's see what happens.
Thank you so much, ma'am. That was a really informative session with you. Thank you so much for being here, ma'am.
Thank you so much, ma'am. It's an honor once again, as I say, to share my views. I do not know whether they are correct, but one's view is one's view, right? There's no harm in sharing it. I hope it was, it ran well. Thank
Thank
you.
you so much, ma'am. Thank you so much for taking out your time. Have a good day, ma'am.
Same here, ma'am.
And for all the viewers watching us out, please subscribe to our channel for more stuff like this.
Thank you so much to the entire Entab team. Thank you.
Thank you so much, ma'am. Have a good day.